You just ate your last meal. You don't know it yet, but your body already does. Within minutes of swallowing that final bite, your digestive system kicks in the overdrive, breaking everything down into glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids. Your blood sugar spikes, insulin floods your bloodstream, and for a brief, beautiful moment, you feel full, energized, satisfied. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Your body is already preparing for war, because buried deep in your biology is an ancient survival program, one that took millions of years to perfect, a program designed for one purpose only, to keep you alive when food disappears. It doesn't matter if you're in a modern office or on a prehistoric savanna, the moment nutrients stop coming in, the countdown begins. Right now, you have roughly 4 to 6 hours before your body burns through every last drop of readily available glucose. After that, the real transformation begins, and it is far more extreme than you ever imagined. If you want to follow this journey all the way to the shocking end, hit subscribe right now, because what comes next will change how you think about food forever. The first alarm bell, it's already ringing, and your body is about to make a decision that will reshape you from the inside out.
Your blood sugar is falling, and your brain, the most glucose-hungry organ in your entire body, is starting to panic. Within 4 to 6 hours of your last meal, your liver has burned through its entire glycogen reserve. Glycogen is essentially stored glucose, your body's version of a charged battery. And right now, that battery just hit zero. Your pancreas immediately cuts insulin production. Glucagon surges in its place, screaming at your liver to do something, anything to keep blood sugar stable. So your liver does the only thing it can. It begins dismantling its own stored glycogen, converting it back into glucose and dumping it into your bloodstream. But that reserve only lasts so long. You have maybe 1,800 to 2,000 calories of glycogen stored between your liver and muscles combined. Sounds like a lot, right? At your body's resting metabolic rate, roughly 1,400 to 2,000 calories per day, that supply is gone in under 24 hours. You start feeling it now, the irritability, the brain fog, the hollow, gnawing sensation clawing at your stomach lining. That's not weakness, that's ancient biology screaming at you to find food. But by hour 12, your body stops waiting for you to listen and quietly activates a far more powerful survival protocol. Here's where your body does something genuinely remarkable, something scientists spent decades trying to fully understand. With glycogen reserves nearly depleted, your body flips a metabolic switch. It's called lipolysis, the process of breaking down stored body fat into free fatty acids and releasing them directly into your bloodstream. These fatty acids travel to your muscles, your heart, and your organs as an alternative fuel source. Suddenly, those fat stores you've been carrying around aren't just excess baggage, they're your emergency generator. Your fat cells, adipocytes, begin releasing their stored triglycerides. Enzymes called lipases tear those molecules apart, and the resulting fatty acids flood your system. Your muscles eagerly absorb them. Your heart actually prefers fat as fuel under these conditions. Your body is adapting in real time. But your brain has a problem. It cannot run on fatty acids directly. It needs either glucose or a special alternative, and your liver is about to start manufacturing that alternative right now. Enter ketones. As your liver processes fatty acids, it produces ketone bodies as a byproduct: beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, acetone. These molecules cross the blood-brain barrier and begin feeding your neurons with shocking efficiency. Your breath might smell faintly sweet or metallic. That's acetone escaping through your lungs. Your body is running on a completely different engine now. But here's what nobody warns you about. Something else starts happening around hour 24, something your body does that feels almost like betrayal.
You've been without food for a full day, and right now your body is doing something that sounds terrifying, but is actually one of the most sophisticated processes in all of human biology. It's called autophagy, and it is essentially your body consuming itself. The word comes from the Greek meaning self-eating. When your cells detect nutrient deprivation, they activate internal recycling programs, breaking down damaged proteins, dysfunctional organelles, and cellular debris and using the raw materials as fuel or building blocks. Think of it as your body's internal renovation crew, tearing down old walls to build something stronger. Nobel Prize winner Yoshinori Ohsumi won the 2016 Nobel Prize in Physiology specifically for mapping this process. Scientists now believe it plays a critical role in fighting cancer, neurodegenerative diseases, and aging itself. But here's the uncomfortable side of this story. Your body isn't just recycling cellular waste, it's also beginning to break down muscle protein. Your body identifies certain amino acids, particularly branched-chain amino acids, and begins converting them into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis. Your muscles are literally being disassembled for fuel. How fast? Studies suggest you can lose anywhere from 30 to 80 grams of muscle protein per day during early starvation. Your body is making a calculated sacrifice. And by hour 48, something even more alarming begins happening to your hormones. Changes so dramatic, they alter your personality, your perception, and even your will to survive. By day 2, you are no longer just hungry. You are chemically different. Your hormonal landscape has been completely restructured by 48 hours of starvation, and the changes reach far beyond your stomach. Let's start with ghrelin, the hunger hormone. It has been surging since hour 1, but by day 2, it is screaming at neurological volumes. Studies show ghrelin doesn't just make you want food, it makes food seem more beautiful, more vivid, more urgent. Brain scans show the reward centers lighting up like Times Square at the mere image of a meal. Meanwhile, leptin, the hormone that signals fullness and regulates long-term energy balance, has plummeted. Low leptin doesn't just make you hungry, it triggers a cascade of downstream effects. Your thyroid slows down, your reproductive hormones drop, your immune function dips. Your body is conserving every single calorie it can. Cortisol, your stress hormone, spikes sharply. This isn't just anxiety. Cortisol is actively dismantling muscle tissue, breaking it into glucose. It's the biological equivalent of burning your furniture to stay warm. But perhaps the most fascinating shift, your brain's dopamine system begins rewiring around the concept of food. Every thought bends toward eating. Every smell sharpens. Every food memory becomes unbearably vivid. You aren't losing your mind. Your mind is doing exactly what evolution built it to do. But by day 3, your body crosses a threshold that ancient humans feared and modern scientists find astonishing.
Day 3, and something extraordinary has just happened inside your skull. Your brain, that glucose-dependent, demanding 3-pound universe, has officially made the switch. Ketones now supply up to 75% of your brain's total energy needs. The foggy, sluggish feeling of the first 2 days begins to lift for many people, replaced by something unexpected, a strange, crystalline clarity. This is full ketosis. Your blood ketone levels have crossed the threshold of 0.5 millimoles per liter and are climbing toward 5, 6, even 7 millimoles in deep starvation states. Your breath smells distinctly fruity. Your urine carries a sharp, unusual odor. These are simply ketones escaping through your excretory systems. Here's what's happening in your liver right now. It's running a 24-hour fatty acid processing plant. Free fatty acids arrive, get partially oxidized, and the leftover fragments are assembled into ketone bodies and shipped directly to your blood. Your heart, your muscles, your brain, all running on this ancient backup fuel. Many historical accounts from fasting monks, hunger strikers, and even early Arctic explorers describe this phase as almost euphoric. Some researchers believe elevated ketones may directly stimulate serotonin and GABA receptors in the brain, producing a calm, focused mental state. But your body is also doing precise, ruthless triage. It has decided which organs get priority fuel and which ones get cut off. And the list it chooses to deprioritize? The list is going to shock you. Your body is now a wartime economy. And like every wartime economy, it has decided someone doesn't make the essential list. Your digestive system, now completely idle, begins to atrophy. The villi lining your small intestine, those tiny finger-like projections responsible for absorbing nutrients, start to shrink. Your gut bacteria population begins to shift dramatically. Your stomach acid production drops, the muscular walls of your intestines thin. Your body sees no point in maintaining a system that isn't being used. Your kidneys are working overtime. As proteins break down into amino acids, and those amino acids get processed for glucose, nitrogen waste accumulates. Your kidneys filter and excrete it as urea, stressing the system significantly. Electrolyte levels, sodium, potassium, phosphate, magnesium, begin fluctuating dangerously. Your heart is under quiet siege. Extended starvation forces the heart to consume its own muscle tissue for fuel. Cardiac muscle mass measurably decreases, the heart wall thins, heart rate drops, sometimes to the low 40s or even 30s in prolonged cases. Your cardiovascular system is running on the absolute minimum. Your immune system pulls back, white blood cell production slows, inflammatory response weakens. Your body has decided that fighting infection is a luxury it cannot currently afford. Meanwhile, your body temperature has dropped by 1 to 2 degrees. Your hands and feet are perpetually cold. Every calorie counts. Every degree of heat costs energy you don't have. But here is the question that haunts every starvation study. How long can a human actually survive? The answer depends on something hiding on your body right now.
Here's the brutal mathematics of human survival, and the number that determines whether you live or die. Your body fat percentage is essentially your countdown clock. An average adult male carries roughly 15 to 20% body fat, while the average female carries 20 to 25%. Since 1 pound of body fat contains approximately 3,500 calories, a 180-pound man with 18% body fat is carrying roughly 32 pounds of fat, which translates to approximately 112,000 calories of stored energy. At a severely reduced metabolic rate of around 1,000 to 1,200 calories per day, which your starving body has now throttled down to, that theoretically represents 90 to 100 days of survival fuel from fat alone. But here's the critical catch. Your body never runs on fat exclusively. It continues breaking down protein simultaneously. And once your body fat drops below a critical threshold, estimated at around 3 to 5% in males and slightly higher in females due to essential fat reserves, your body has no choice but to dramatically accelerate muscle and organ cannibalization. The famous Minnesota starvation experiment of 1944, led by Ancel Keys, placed 36 healthy male volunteers on semi-starvation diets for 24 weeks. The physical deterioration was expected. What shocked researchers were the psychological effects: severe depression, obsessive food fantasies, complete personality dissolution, and in several cases, self-mutilation. The body was surviving, but the mind was shattering. And by day 30, if you're still alive, your body enters a phase so dangerous that doctors have a specific clinical name for what happens next.
Paradoxically, by this stage, the greatest threat to your survival isn't continued starvation, it's eating. After 30 or more days without food, your body has made deep systemic adaptations. Intracellular electrolytes, particularly phosphate, potassium, and magnesium, have been severely depleted. Your insulin sensitivity has plummeted.
Your cardiovascular system has thinned and weakened to its absolute minimum viable state. Now imagine you suddenly eat, even something small. Your pancreas floods insulin back into your bloodstream. Cells suddenly start pulling glucose, phosphate, and potassium out of the blood at a rapid rate. Blood phosphate levels crash. This is called hypophosphatemia, and it is lethal. Your red blood cells rupture. Your muscles, including your heart, seize. Cardiac arrhythmias begin. Respiratory failure becomes possible. Neurological seizures can occur. This is refeeding syndrome, and it has killed patients in hospitals, concentration camp survivors in 1945, and famine victims worldwide. Medical refeeding after prolonged starvation must be done with excruciating care. Tiny caloric increments, aggressive electrolyte supplementation, constant cardiac monitoring. It can take weeks to bring someone back from this edge safely. The longest documented human survival without food, with access only to water and medical monitoring, is 382 days. Angus Barbieri of Scotland fasted under medical supervision from 1965 to 1966, losing 276 pounds. His medical team considered it a miracle he survived. But here's the haunting question that remains. Even if the body survives, does the person who emerges on the other side remain the same? The answer to that question is darker than you ever imagined.
You survived, but you are not the same person who stopped eating. The Minnesota Starvation experiment produced findings that still disturb psychologists today. Even after full physical recovery, after participants returned to their normal body weight and muscle mass, the psychological damage lingered for months, sometimes years. Men who had been described as calm, sociable, and well-adjusted became anxious, withdrawn, and obsessively fixated on food. Several developed eating disorders. Their relationship with hunger, with meals, with their own bodies, permanently altered. Neuroscience helps explain why. Prolonged starvation physically reshapes your brain. The prefrontal cortex, your center of rational decision-making, loses gray matter. The amygdala, your emotional alarm system, becomes hyper-reactive. Your dopamine reward pathways have been rewired so deeply around food that recovering from that rewiring takes as long as recovering from serious addiction. Your gut microbiome, once devastated, slowly rebuilds, but studies show it may never return to its exact original composition. Your hormonal baseline shifts. Your relationship with your own metabolism is fundamentally changed. And this is the deepest truth that starvation reveals. Your body is not just a machine running on fuel. It is an exquisitely interconnected biological universe. And when you remove food, you don't just turn off the engine. You begin dismantling the very architecture of who you are. Your body will fight to survive until its very last breath. Millions of years of evolution guarantee that. But surviving and living, those, it turns out, are two very different things. And now that you know what waits on the other side of hunger, will you ever look at a meal the same way again?